Hi guys, it's Tuesday here. I'm sorry I didn't post yesterday. I did my little online radio show. Um, if you didn't listen to it, go ahead and listen to it. Um, you know, it's a half hour long, so if you have a half hour, you know, go ahead. You can listen to it. It's right on my Facebook page, both of my Facebook pages. Um, but it's if you want to, if it's your choice. All right, so we got some red flag warnings out there, and again, this is gonna be a very common sight. Just get used to it. It's gonna happen for a while. Talking a little bit about temperatures and the pattern that we're getting into. It's a very different pattern. Okay, this pattern that we're starting to get into is very different. It's going to be an extreme type of pattern. What's going to happen here is we're going to kind of have things a little bit cloudy, a little bit moist around here for this part of the week, really through Thursday. And I kind of want to show you the forecast from the National Weather Service here. They do say some thunderstorms tonight. Don't buy that. I really wouldn't say expect a chance of thunderstorms at this time. There is a special weather statement. That is the mainly dry conditions that we're seeing. There is a hazardous weather outlook, and that is for the fact that we have a red flag warning. So I would say there is no chance of a thunderstorm tonight. If anything, it would be rain. I would say just, be on guard for just a little bit of rain. But other than that, I wouldn't see anything. This is for the western, the Berkshires, and I would say watch out. There could be some snow showers out there tonight. And if there, now this is where it gets me, is if there was a thunderstorm and it did move through the northern portions, guess what? We'd be seeing some thunder snow, and if that's the case, then accumulations could be pretty high. So that's something I'm watching. However, I will show you the radar, and you will see that there's no thunderstorm activity. All it is not pop-up thunderstorms, but just pop-up showers. Okay, all it is a spot shower here and there. You can see how spotty this stuff is. It's scattered all about. But this is just generally showers. If this was a warmer day, if we had more sunlight outside and all of this sorts of stuff, if this were to be during the summer, then yeah, I would say, hey, we have a good chance of us seeing a pop-up severe thunderstorm today. But it's just not happening. And even this little batch of, I guess you could probably call it a little bit of a line of thunderstorms back out into portions of New York. This is very weak. These things really won't be able to materialize, but if there were to be a thunderstorm, we have a chance of it, but I would say don't expect a thunderstorm. But let's check out the loop here, see how all of this is moving, and it's generally moving in an easterly direction. We expect things to be moving in an easterly direction here. It's all moving like this, so, But, yeah, you can generally see everything is mostly moving in that easterly direction here. Don't expect much out of this. But generally a pop-up shower. I would say no chance of a thunderstorm out of this, like the National Weather Service is saying. So here are the models here, and you can see that there is that deep trough. Now, if this were to be, like I mentioned the other day, if this were to have happened a few months ago, and we would have been talking, and if we had a similar situation like this, then we would have been talking about some pretty extensive cold and snow. However, that didn't happen. It's happening a little bit too late, and you can kind of see how this trough just gets eaten away. You can see it's kind of moving in this direction, and it's kind of continuing to, I guess you could say, disintegrate. With that being said, that's the warmer air that's going to be kind of impending in here for the end of the weekend. And really, it's only the early part of next week. By Tuesday, this warm air will be gone. So you can see there is that cooler air that we're going to see around here. Then it kind of warms up. This is a Canadian model, by the way. And then you can see by as early as Sunday, we do have a chance of some rain yet again around here. And this rain would be a little bit more on the helpful side of things. And you can kind of see what's going on here. Now, this is kind of interesting. See how this cold air is really packed in Canada. When you get something like that, sometimes it worries me. And also, another thing that worries me is see how this low, this particular low is really connected to the cool air. You have the trough right here, and then the low is attached to this cool air. Well, what that means is this storm is phased with the cool air. And when a storm is phased with cool air, what that allows the storm to do is pull down cold air as it works its way eastward. And what that would mean is it may start out as initially rain or even a thunderstorm as the front is coming through. And then behind it, you have precipitation, which if it's cool behind it, then, it'll be a cold rain or a snow. So that's really my major concern because, like I said, look how close that low is attached to that cool air. Hasn't been something that happened for a while. Now, I'm going to show you how warm things are going to get this upcoming week, or for the weekend and on into the weekend, early part of next week. You can see that this is in Celsius, so unfortunately, you'd have to do some converting here. But essentially, I'm going to tell you things will be getting up close to 70, if not some localized regions reaching almost 80 degrees. Those 80s and maybe even approaching 90 degrees will be happening down into portions of the mid-Atlantic. So we're going to be talking about southern New Jersey, portions of, we'll be talking about, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, areas like this region in here will be picking up a good 80-degree day, low to mid-80s. And then outside of that, you're going to be talking about 70s and then 60s up into Vermont and New Hampshire. And then even Maine will be back into the 40s, 50s, close to 60 degrees. But essentially, it's going to be really warming up. Okay, so there's a big warm-up in coming in. However, look at how there's a front that's coming through. This is by next Wednesday. What happens is we have a nice cold front that's going to be coming through, and this would be initially rain. We would actually see rain with this particular system. Now you can see how that front just moves through, and we start cooling things down. But there's a low. There's a low pressure area that we would be watching up into Canada. Okay, and it's going to essentially looks like it might be dragging down in this direction. And look at this cold air up here. That's pretty impressive cold air. Now watch how it kind of drags itself down. Now look at where the location of this particular low is, and look at how the cold air is in place. This is another issue that I'm watching as time moves its way onward. Whether this means anything or not at this point, I'm not sure. But this is the final model. This is the GFS. Now, you can see that warm air kind of comes in. You can see there's that chance of rain. Things will be warm during the week, really through Tuesday. Then there's that cool air that comes in by the week. And then what happens is whether this low will ride on the trough or whether it will force the warm air inward, that's a question that's going to happen. This is really when you have to kind of watch for future updates, because you can see how this low kind of forces the warm air inward. However, Maine, at the very least, and northern New England, I'm kind of concerned about a major snowstorm in that region. And then here, it's a questionable region, depending upon how the event wants to pan out. However, I do see a rainy period coming in here. Again, we would be talking about that rain middle part of next week, and then towards the following week, we could be potentially talking about yet again another rain event. Some substantial rains, to say the least. Definitely we need it. Again, how this all pans out and the exact particulars will be answered eventually. Now, I do want to show you what the GFS was predicting earlier this morning. This is the snowfall depth that they were predicting. I kind of posted a similar map this morning on my Facebook page. If you didn't see that, check that out. This is essentially saying anywhere between 3 to 7 inches or 3 to 8 inches throughout most of New England. You can see this little yellow region being into northern Franklin County, portions of southwestern New Hampshire and southwestern Vermont seeing the brunt of the snows, with seeing at least 6 inches of snow into that region. Whether this happens or not, again, is a question, but I did kind of explain why I think this could potentially happen. Definitely, like I said, into Maine, where right now it's looking like a major snowstorm could be on tap for them. Also, Denver is going to be in line with this, and also Wisconsin and the Great Lakes region is also in line for a major snowstorm potentially. So there is still some snow around. Whether or not we here in southern New England will get that, that's sort of a question that will be eventually answered. But for right now, definitely rain is in the forecast, and a warm-up and then a cool-down. Really, it's going to kind of be an up-and-down roller coaster type thing here in New England. But until then, have a great rest of your day, and I'll be back tomorrow with another update.